grains! Welcome to the second episode of Pimp My Sculpture, also known as PMS, but we don't talk about that. We just don't talk about it. Where I go and find some sculptures from the thrift store and make them from undesirable to potentially something you wouldn't be embarrassed keeping in your own home. This time, the sculpture is going to be some kind of Santa Claus looking person on a horse. This piece was actually found by my friend Jamie, who was on a trip to Vancouver and just happened to stumble upon it. I am crossing my fingers that it is either wood or some kind of material, plaster that we can put into the oven, because if not, I have to go out and get something. Let's cross our fingers. Because when you touch it, it does feel like wood, but I don't know, there's just something about it that makes me worry that it could be plastic. But worst case, we're just gonna put a piece of it into the oven and see if it melts. Don't do the things that I do at home because I'm not a professional, and neither are you. Just don't do it. This week's shoutouts go to Mistress Inky and Narval Volador. If you want a shout out in my Friday videos, don't forget to hashtag Notification Squad in the comment section below within the first 45 minutes of a video's release, or hashtag NerdECrafter on Instagram or Twitter anytime with any of your creations. Once I saw this sculpture, there was just something that attracted me to it. I mean, the horse looks like it's doing this. It seems awfully pretty suspicious. The mane on the horse is also kind of thinning out. I mean, that's pretty sad for the tail. And the guy sitting on the horse has a cowboy hat, a flannel shirt, and mittens. So I definitely want to have a little bit of dark fun since this is a spooky edition. Let's play a game. And you voted on my community tab to do 2 DIY creations for the Halloween season, in which one of them was the squishy unmakeover, which I did last week, so make sure you check that out. And the other one is this thrift store makeover. First things first, let's find out if it's actually plastic or a material we can shove in the oven. I think the best way to find out is that I did notice there was a crack under this part here. Let's find that out. All right, I have to admit, this is a material, I have no idea what it is. It has this feeling between plastic and a kind of plaster, but I really can't tell. If you know anything about materials, put it in the comment section below. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven and see what happens. How else would I know? Because on NerdECrafter and partly Salty Crafter, we always go beyond La Saltra. If you get that reference, you get a gold star. And if you don't get that reference, you get a salt shaker. Either way, it's a win-win. All right, mates, here it is straight out of the oven, piping hot and potentially dangerous. Don't touch that with your finger, so we're gonna poke it with a stick. It does smell of cheap perfume, and I have no idea why. I think I went from Australian to like Southern accent. All right, let's poke it. It hasn't changed its form, so I'm really curious what material it is, and it does smell like cheap perfume, by the way. And, okay, so it's not melting. It is pretty hot, but it's not melting. That is extremely good news, but I have no idea what material it is. It's just, oh my God. As you can see, there's no distortion. It's still pretty hot. It was in the oven for about 20 minutes, and I decided to take it out right away to see whether or not there's going to be any kind of smudging or smushing or distortion. We can go ahead and give this a spooky makeover.
Thrift Store Makeover, PMS Part 2.
Got too excited. By the way, if you can guess what I'm making, make sure to do a vote. Last time, you grains actually figured out what I was doing, but part of me starts to think that you're watching ahead and then voting. Is that what you're doing? Is it? Don't worry, that's exactly what I would do. This is what we're going to be using. Not this side, this side. Because I want to take the head out. That is the only hint you're going to be getting, and then we're going to go straight into it. I'm really worried if I can actually just aim for the head and beard. Otherwise, I guess more reconstruction with polymer clay. Why does part of me feel really guilty right now? I am so sorry. You know what? Just don't look at me. Don't look at me. We'll make a face this way. Actually, it's better this way. Oh my God. All right, we're just gonna censor this part, but let's go ahead and bash that. Oh, well, it's okay. Oh my God, did I just take out the arm? It's okay, we can surgify this back on. It's okay. If this isn't absolutely terrible, that the face only would come out in a piece like this, I don't know what is. We'll keep him right here as a memory of the sacrifice this statue has done for us. For those of you wondering, I do use Sculpey polymer clay. When it comes to sculpture makeovers, it is a good idea to have liquid Sculpey on hand. Otherwise, the clay really doesn't want to stick to other materials, so that, my buddies, is gonna be your best friend. The first thing I did was build up what I broke, and at the same time, since I broke the hand off, which was not on purpose, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually make the hand go in a different position. So I'm putting it placed upright, facing upwards, kind of like, a little bit of a dramatic pose, and of course using more clay and more liquid Sculpey and just putting it together. I'm sure you get the point, what I mean. You're using clay, you're using liquid Sculpey, and you're just putting all that stuff together. I want this piece to look scary and dark. Oh, hello there, creeper reflection through the pasta machine thing. So to make it even creepier, I needed to add a cape. Texturing the cape was nothing special. I just kind of cut it and I I don't know anything about cloth, so let's just assume that's what it looks like. Okay, so this piece apparently is a Christmas piece from 2013. Yeah, so we're going to be turning it into a Halloween piece 2018. I want to maintain the same texture as this sculpture, so it kind of reminded me of the texture you get when you roll a ball of foil paper and just kind of spread it around. The cape needs to be flowy. I don't want some of those droopy capes, so the best way to go about this is to put a piece of foil paper underneath while it's baking. That's totally going to hold your piece together, and when I say totally, I'm not being sarcastic, I promise. It actually will hold your piece together. While I was doing my texture, the foil paper fell on the inside of the sculpture and absolutely refused to come out. If I shake it and then all the pieces break, is it really worth a small ball of foil paper? The answer is nay. Get it? Nay, cause it's a horse. The top seemed empty, so I figured it would be the perfect time to add a kind of flowy scarf. So I used the same methods that I used for the cape. Don't worry, little horsey, your turn is soon. We're gonna make you cooler, because you kind of look like a donkey. Thank goodness for paranoia! Every time I'm creating something and I'm like, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. I shove it in the oven to save my progress, because I really don't want to start over. As you can see down here, there are droplets of water on top. Because I want it to cool down faster, I take a spritz of water and I go psh, 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 which makes the piece cool down quite a bit. And also, if you didn't know, when you cool down clay quickly, kind of like metalwork, it should, in theory, become stronger. So let's remove the foil paper. I think we just have to smush it down so it becomes flat and then pull it out. Yes! I'm not sure if I'm related to this horse because it just had flat, greasy hair, so I could relate to its hair problems. But that's why I decided to go ahead and give it a new tail and a new mane, because, we just want it to be fluffy and all that stuff. To me, it felt like the face was just way too short, so I did elongate it a little bit and started adding a little more dimension to it. Because we're not just going to have a face, my grains, we're going to have a skull on the I was gonna say dragon, but what I meant is the horse. The ears also were a little too short, so decided to extend that as well. With a skull, we need skull-like teeth. So the first thing I did was I pushed the bottom part of the mouth a little further in and then started making those little triangles. After After adding the harness, I took 2 jump rings and added them so that it looks like where the harness could have gone. But you know, it's a creature of darkness. Who can control such a creature? For the pumpkin, I followed Ludmila Bakulina's tutorial, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link in the description box below. I didn't follow it 100% because I prefer doing my own twist on things. I just wanted to have a base so that I can work from. The first side of the eye was just a dream. It came out so easily. But then the second part, as you can see me struggle in real time, was pretty annoying. And then the rest was smooth sailing. To get it on the hand, I just kind of wiggled it until it felt just about right. So far, so good. Now we're going to do one final bake, and you know exactly what that means. Let's put our hands together and pray to the baking gods. Dear baking gods of Evermore, please protect my piece from cracks, burns, and fallen limbs. And also,
Stop breaking my stuff!
after the final bake of about half an hour, I went ahead and did a primer coat with a spray paint, which is a primer, and don't ask me what happened on the cover, because when I brought it home, it was already kind of gross, but whatever, we need it, so let's just ignore that. Some of you were worried that the spray paint would eat away at the polymer clay, and the answer is I don't think so. I've had pieces that I've made about 5 years ago, and they haven't been destroyed just yet. Now the only thing left to do is to take acrylic paints and paint this dude into life. I wanted to keep the theme creepy and kind of earthy, so I didn't add too many bright colors. If you do see, the headless horseman is definitely very much so all black. It may not show too much on camera, but at the end I did do some dry brushing to keep things a little dirty and also to bring the colors up just a little more. Seems to me that you have not figured anything out. Which means the game is still mine to play. So I guess I'll see you on Tuesday. This is going to be fun.